Hi, and welcome to HM Talks with HM Pinnacle, where bad days turn into unbelievable HR stories. You think you've had a rough week? Just wait. We're talking about real workplace challenges and people operations chaos, the situations that no one ever thinks to put into an employee handbook. I'm Heather, founder and CEO of HM Pinnacle Consulting. And after more than 20 years of people operations, I've seen just about everything there is to see. And somehow, people find new ways to surprise me. And I'm joined here with my co host, Cara. She's a key part of the HM Pinnacle team who helps leaders work through the complicated, messy, and sometimes unbelievable situations that come from managing people. So let's get started. I'm glad we're here, Cara, but I'd like to introduce our guest today, Miss Vanna Mancheski. We're super excited that Vanna is joining us. Vanna has expertise in social media, in marketing, and a lot of LMS systems as well. But one of the things that she's super good about bringing to the table is that Gen Z attitude when she wants to talk. So we're glad to have you here because we know we're going to learn a lot about marketing and branding yourself, which is it's kind of important and probably something I don't focus enough on. Although I will say, thanks to Cara, our backgrounds are branded with HM Pinnacle. Nice job, Cara. I would have never remembered to do that. So
Mhm.
I guess as a company, it's something we struggle with, and I'm sure lots of smaller companies do, but I'm excited to talk to you about, well, the good parts of branding, but also probably some
Yeah.
crazy chaos about branding as well.
Oh, 100%. I'm happy to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yay.
So
I'm so excited.
So, Cara, what you obviously think about branding way more than I do because we are in a
Mhm.
branded podcast today. Thank you for
Yes.
that. So, where does that come from? What brings you into that as part of your focus, Cara?
So the reason why this is like very top of mind for me and where I started my career, it was during like that tech boom. So located in Austin, Texas, we had a lot of California folks coming to Texas, starting their tech organizations. And when you're competing against the Meta Facebooks, the Google, sometimes
Mhm.
it is very important to attract top talent or to attract key members of your team. Um, how do you do that when you might be a little fish in a large pond, or where there's just a really competitive work environment? Or, Vanna, I think you might be able to speak to this a little bit more, where potentially the talent pool's a little bit smaller
Yeah.
and you
Mm.
want to really try to grab folks and make them excited about working in your company when there's gig environments, there's different types of benefits. So, how do we highlight that and how do we showcase the unique brand to attract and keep top talent? So,
That's actually a really good point, and I'm
Mhm.
excited to hear what you have to say about that, Vanna, because I think I take that for granted. Like my
mhm.
name's my name's my name, right? But I guess that's probably not true, is it? There's more behind why people choose to apply and or work for your company or not. So talk to us a little bit about maybe just like you job searched over the last year plus, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you look at those kinds of things? Does it matter if they're well branded?
Yeah. Definitely. I think we're especially in today's day, we are in a very unique situation where the little guy has just as much of a chance of being found as the big companies, the big
Oh,
brand names,
okay.
because everything's searchable. We can go
Yeah.
on the
Ugh.
web, we can go on TikTok, we can go on Instagram, we can go on Facebook. And so I know a lot of small businesses are like, well, branding is for like the bigger companies. That's what they need to focus on that. And it's like, you want a cohesive brand when someone's coming to your page to see if they want to work for you. Because I mean,
Wow.
I can tell you how many small businesses I follow in complete different states that I'll probably never visit, but I'm like, oh my goodness, their branding is on point. Or sometimes I find one, I'm like, oh my goodness, if I could spend 30 minutes helping them rebrand this
Coach
and
them.
make it cohesive, it would be so much better. But I think that's a very unique situation where we're at the moment.
I
It's
I
very
actually
cool and
never thought of that. Like I never thought that small companies have the same kind of power of integrating recruitment into
Mhm.
into their practices as much as large companies because you're small.
Mhm.
So what do you have to offer? But I guess there's more to it, and how you position yourself makes a big difference. Do you think it matters if you're on all platforms or just one platform, or depending upon the industry?
it's definitely industry based. I mean, if you're definitely more into like the manufacturing business to business side of things, it's probably not as important to be on all the platforms. Definitely be on as many as you can be on. But if you're a customer facing business,
Oh.
you like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, like everything, because that's just way more places for people to find your brand and things that they like about you, and
Mhm.
your staff that they'll fall in love with. I think it's a really important part that people are can forget easily. And it is the first thing to go in a small business, even a medium-sized business.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I can
no, because of
really
the
think
budget part. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Cara.
well, I can think of 3 examples for consumer facing where it worked on me as a customer.
Mhm.
I
So
was
I
just
know
going to ask.
initially I like thought about, okay, well, recruitment, because that was, where I came from it with an HR
Mhm.
perspective, from a customer perspective. There are 3 accounts, and I'll try to go through them really quickly. But the one that actually worked on me was a small Filipino restaurant supermarket here
Mm.
in Texas.
First of all, there's nothing better than Filipino food. Oh, I love me some lumpia.
100%.
I
Mm-mm-mm.
just saw a guy on Instagram who he just kind of goes around eating and he posted it, and I was like,
Wait,
Mom,
that's what he
we should
does?
go
Like,
here. That's all he does.
he just,
That is his gig.
he
Mhm.
videos eating.
He videos
It's a
himself.
thing.
Well, and he like reviews the
Mhm.
restaurant. But I like this guy. He only posts the positives because he's like, if it's a negative one, I'll let y'all figure out. And I just don't highlight the name. But if I have a great experience, I'm just going to post the name, where to find them, and what I ordered, and the prices. My mom, my 2-year-old picky eater daughter, we all went, love the guy, bought a lot of snacks, ate the food. We've gone back again. So they just gained our whole
Mhm.
family as a customer. I also bought
Because
some beef empanadas from his freezer section that we continue to have. Like he got some good revenue from our family,
Mhm.
all because I saw him on Instagram from this influencer. And then the
and
other
what's
two,
crazy is that's a whole bunch of people. Like, so that's you, but how many
Mhm.
other people were watching this guy shove food in his face and listen to it and then decide? Because, by the way, we had a conversation before we started this about having an image of yourself with food in your mouth. So the
Oh, yes,
fact
we
he
did.
does that, the fact that he does that for a living, like
Mhm.
mortifies me. I don't ever want food in my mouth when I'm talking or anything, so it mortifies me. But all that aside, he got way more. Like you're one of how many people decided to try that place for the very first time. Like I never thought of it from that perspective. Wow, that's
Mhm.
pretty powerful.
Well,
And
and
what
they
are
had
the
like
Mhm.
sorry.
guy, they had they were interviewing folks like, what does a fireworks sound like? And then people were putting the human voices over pictures of the it's hard to explain. If you've seen it, it's hilarious.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to look it up now.
A car dealership did it and a mortgage lender did it. And my son and I have watched it so many times. The amount of views that which then promotes their company so their reach is just large, all because of a little bit of humor, a little bit of,
Mhm.
enjoyment in watching. So there is a lot of power in that. And then the third was, if y'all are into K-pop dances, it is like a
Oh
restaurant
my
in
god. Okay, this is
Mexico.
more than I think I knew about you. Why are we
Yeah,
talking about why are you
I'm
watching
probably on
K-pop
videos too much.
dancing? Yeah.
But they like have their kale charred leaves as they're like dancing to K-pop music. I'm obsessed. Like I
You
sent it to
watch
my
this?
friend.
You watch
Yes.
this.
And I'm like, I want to go and get their ceviche for the sole purpose of them dancing. Like it is very effective marketing. And the
Okay, so
branding of that is powerful for these consumer facing folks.
Mhm.
So Vanna, you're
I,
nodding. I don't know if you've
Oh,
experienced it.
100%. I legitimately follow off the top of my head. I can name like 10, like either car dealerships,
Mhm.
summer, like random services out of state that I will never use. I follow them on TikTok and Instagram because they're just hilarious social media accounts.
okay,
Yeah.
so
But you
that
bet your
brings
butt,
me
if I ever move there, they're
they're
going to be the
super fun.
first on my list to call
Mhm.
if I need anything.
But that's what my question for you is. Is that what you should be looking at in your branding is humor? Like, and the reason I say that is I don't know if it was you, Vanna, that sent it to me, or if someone else sent it to me, but I was forced to go onto Instagram. And I say that because I don't, I know we have an Instagram account. I've never been on it. Um, but I was on there because someone sent me this and said, you need to watch this. And it was this older CEO of a company. And he's standing there and he's like, my marketing department said I had to do this. I think this is stupid, but I'm going to do it anyway. And he was showing them that he makes a chicken salad sandwich for lunch. And he's like, my wife makes the best. Her name's Becky, by the way. I remembered this because it was the dumbest video I've ever watched. Becky makes these chicken salad to die for. Okay, maybe not to die for because I haven't died yet, but she makes it and then I slap it on some bread and eat it. And my marketing department said I need to tell you this. And then that was the whole video. And I'm like, what purpose? What purpose did that have? But it sounds like, Vanna, people like you watch those and it will, then you'll probably go and say, where does he work? Who's he the CEO of? And then continue to figure out what that organization does. Is that true? Should I be out
You
there
know,
making videos of stupid things like that?
well, I should just say be
Shut up,
prepared
Cara.
for
I
the
saw
next
that.
one.
Yes. I saw that. Yes.
I feel especially my generation, we're a very like gallows humor type of generation. So we enjoy any sense of humor, especially in the world that we live in and we're presented with as young people at the moment. But
Okay.
also that humanizes people. So like a CEO to get on and make that, we're like, he's a pretty chill dude. Even if he is CEO of this massive company, well, maybe he's okay. Maybe I'll go ahead and support that business,
So
whatever, or I'll keep them in mind. It's unfortunately very effective.
That's
so
it.
it is effective. Okay.
We're going
So
to start
would
making sandwiches every day. I'm just going to go in the kitchen and I'm going to make my yummy egg bite breakfast that I make every day on video instead of just for myself. That's all.
but I think
It's
this is
weird.
important. It's the authenticity right now. And
Yes.
Vanna, correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like
Okay.
Gen Z loves authenticity in a world of like
Sure.
AI and whatnot. So do you think that kind of authentic, humanized, kind of dry humor approach would encourage you to maybe take a job at a more office style environment instead of doing like a gig job like an Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, start your own organization, try to be an influencer? Like, how much does that actually impact your generation and joining the workforce or staying at an organization or
Great
engaging?
question.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a big part of it because Gen Z, and I hate to generalize a whole section of people, but
Do it
Gen
anyway. It's
Z
fine. Yeah.
in general, we want to find purpose or kind of, and I'm going to use this term very hesitantly, family like, where we can
Okay.
have fun at work, but also do a job and be really good at it. And to have that kind of joking atmosphere that, like, okay, it's going to not just be like corporate dead face and we're all going to be like machines at work. And like, okay, there's going to be some giggles, there's going to be some laugh. If I throw a weird joke out, no one's going to like look at me weird. I think that's a very important part. And definitely, I mean, the whole perception of a business online, I would say, especially in recruiting, is very, very important nowadays
Mhm.
Mm.
because there's a lot of ways to tell what that is.
That's so
Okay.
true. Accessibility to information, which is where we want to
Hmm.
maybe, I'm going to shift our conversation to like the negative part because we all of us
Hmm.
have our horror stories, but I'm sure, and I don't know if Glassdoor is as true of a source of
Hmm.
employee sentiment or previous employee sentiment. But when I was job hunting, yeah, that was where I would go and I would read like, here are the pros, here are the cons, and those stars on Glassdoor were very telling for me if I wanted to pursue an interview with that organization or not. And so when we think about, you know, you just did layoffs as an organization, or I don't know, the cost of living increases weren't as high this year because of the economy. And then you have those anonymous posts on Glassdoor that's like, don't work for Acme organization for X, Y, and Z reasons. The manager hates their employees or only gives them ice cream sandwiches instead of, raises.
Increases. Yeah.
Yeah, like that can be, at least when I was going through it, really impactful. So, but how is it with you? And like, do you search for negative? Like, do you chat it? Like, where do you go? And then what have you seen?
And then the
That has
other
been
part of that is how much of that do you value as truth, disgruntled
Ooh.
employees, or drama? And I ask that because
Ooh.
one of the things I notice is that when people are excited about things, it's a muted excitement. This is a great place to work or eat
that's
or
true.
this kind of stuff, right? I really enjoyed blah, blah, blah. It's pretty even. When people are angry, they took all of my breaks away and they made me work in a hot environment. Like it's like drama. It's not like,
It
okay,
is.
this wasn't the best fit for me. They didn't do a good job communicating. I really feel that blah blah blah. Right? Where it's more value. How do you distinguish like when you're reading those, how much of it could be potentially over the top, and how much is real?
It's a really good question because it is hard. I will say, especially in the last year when I was job searching, I did go on sites like Glassdoor
Okay.
and read all of them. I found though that those bigger ones that are more, they feel more like official, they're not super updated. Where I found a lot of my reviews that I did for jobs I was applying to was things like Reddit and TikTok because it's a lot more anonymous. And the thing that I think also businesses aren't aware of is that everyone from the big companies like Amazon all the way down to like the hairdresser across the street can be found on places like Reddit and TikTok.
Okay, now
Oh,
I need to go search HMP on Reddit. I haven't done that. I'm frightened right now. Although I have really great employees, but really?
it
Like
can be.
on
And
TikTok?
they're,
Wait, on TikTok. Like people
Yeah.
leave reviews on TikTok.
oh no, they'll do story times on TikTok about a company that they worked on or they just left. And so not only are you getting their story of how they'll come with receipts, they'll come with like actual legitimate proof. And I have seen people say, like, this is my experience working with this company. Like, not even just like, I hate the company, you don't work there, just like, do not put yourself in this position. It's not right. It's not a safe environment. And you go through the comments and you'll find, oh, thanks. I was just about to apply to work there, or I was looking at interning here. And
Ooh.
thanks for the heads up. Really appreciate it. So that's a very real thing to be aware of when you're
Wow.
handling it. You're when you're laying off or having to fire employees, be aware of how you're doing it because it everyone can just go online and
Amen to
post.
that. Like that's huge. And taking it on a serious note, those are the things that business owners need to understand is that how you treat your employees, even in their departure, and especially
Mhm.
in their departure,
Yeah.
impacts so much about your retention. Because not only is that person who left potentially going to say negative things about you, but the people who are staying who watched how you treated them, they're either going to say negative things or they're going to go find another job because they're like, I don't want to work at a place where if I'm the one they're going to let go, this is how they make me feel or this is how they
Mhm.
treat me. So business owners need to be very careful because it sounds like people's reviews of organizations weigh very heavily into whether or not they choose to apply to work there. And that's important because even 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. It
Yeah.
No.
wasn't, there was not a lot
Mhm.
of value put in what was said on things like Reddit. Oh, it's like, oh, these are just some disgruntled employees.
Mhm.
This isn't how the company really operates, etc. And it seems like that has become more of a reality that people are being honest about their
Mm-hmm.
experiences in
Mhm.
organizations, and that impacts your brand. You can spend as much money as you want making your brand look beautiful, having great commercials, great swag. But if you're not a great company, that's going to come forward in all of those types of reviews, and that's going to be just as much of an impact, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, and I've even seen scenarios where people have come and maybe it wasn't the whole organization. Maybe it was just this one manager or this one team they were on. And they were like, hey, I was treated unfairly. I was discriminated against. People like blocked me from meetings. I wasn't allowed to do this. And like, so I left. And I'll say one thing about my generation. We're not scared to leave a job. We'll go find another one. And that's something I think the other generations are like terrified to leave a job, after a couple months, after a year. And we have my generation is just like, nope, we're good. We'll move on. We'll move on to someone who wants to include us. But I have seen situations where this has happened. And then the company has to go and like actually relook at those managers and those teams. And people end up getting fired
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
at the company because they're like, oh no, this happened. And then you think about the chain reaction to that. Okay, well, who covered for that manager? Who didn't talk to
Mm-hmm.
that manager when should have been talked to? What was slipping through the cracks there in those scenarios? And it's like, okay, wow, this is a big problem, you know?
Yeah, but I think I'm even more scared by it because
Mm,
there are really good companies where people have not done the job that they needed to do and got let go,
mm,
and then they're saying these false things about companies, and so there's that balance as an organization on you don't want to go over the top just because you're trying to
Hmm.
protect your image, right? You have to be
Hmm.
real. Um, and you have to hope that your reputation speaks for itself in those one-off situations. But employers also need to be aware that how you treat your employees truly does get back to the population and impact it.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
That's a
And
nightmare. Sorry.
I will say not to scare everyone and that you have to treat anyone you let go or you fire as like kings and queens. Just for as many true stories as I've seen online, I have seen people where they didn't do their jobs and they let go, and then it comes out, okay, well, show us the receipts. What happened? Tell us word for word. And then they get halfway through the video and everyone's in the comments like, oh no, they totally deserve to be
Yeah.
fired. Like, good on the company for letting them go. I would hate you as a coworker. So it's not all like everyone
Yeah.
immediately believes a sob story. It's like, let's see, are you telling the truth? Let's do a vibe check here. And then we decide from there.
Okay,
I
so
love
have
that.
either of you, oh, sorry, go ahead, Cara.
No, I just love that so much because, well, first of all, if y'all see me lagging, I've mentioned I'm in Texas. It is raining, and therefore, if I lag
Ah,
or something funky happens with my voice or something, this is just remote realness right now. But I love
yeah.
Vanna and Heather. Kind of what y'all are saying, I think is so important for companies to realize that authenticity piece
Hmm.
is so true. And our ability to sense that even through a social media screen is true. So,
Mm.
my PSA companies, if you have a come work with us, our values are family like, bring your authentic self, honesty, and your managers are not living out those values,
Yeah.
you will get blasted and
Mhm.
the keyboard warriors will come for you. So, to Heather, and I kind of like how you alluded to this, leaders, it really does come down to you. You can have all the words on the page, you can have the funniest TikTok. Leader, if you are not leading well, that's going to come out. And there are receipts. I love that. I like how documentation. Heather, we might need to rebrand our HR box instead of documentation. Maybe it's receipts so that we know how to help folks have the receipts when the time comes.
I, I don't know. I just know that I find it amusing that employees have great documentation, but managers, when they come to me and they're like, I
Right?
need to let so and so go, and they have zero documentation, and you're like, wait a minute, where'd all this other stuff come from that the employee has that you can't seem to find? Like, so just be careful on both sides of that one. So I want to know if either of you have had a situation where you either read the reviews, the Glassdoor, whatever, took the job and realized they were 100% right. And you're like, OMG, what was I doing? Or read the reviews, saw the advertising, purchased something, and oh my goodness, that I should have read the reviews in advance because that was not what I want. Because I've had that one. I bought a dress last year for a wedding, and I bought it off of an advertisement. The dress looked gorgeous. I was like, oh I'm going to be the best looking guest there. It's going to be so amazing. It was expensive. It's a freaking expensive dress. But I was like, it doesn't matter if it looks this great on me. I'm going to stand out. This is going to be perfect. I did not, and I always do, but I did not read the reviews on the company first. And I should have
Mm-hmm.
because first of all, it was overseas, which I didn't know. And the name of the organization was a European name, but it came from a Asian country, which you wouldn't have known that had you not done the research. And I did the research afterwards because when it finally showed up, and it was only here like 2 or 3 days before the wedding, even though I ordered it months in advance, 2 or 3 days before the wedding, and it came. Oh my goodness! I kept pulling up the picture, and then the picture, and the dress, and the picture, and the dress, and then I put it on, and I was like, I can't wear this. This is horrid. I just dropped lots and lots of money, and I have 2 days before I'm leaving for this wedding to now find something else to wear at the last second. Needless to say, I still see ads for that organization, and the dresses look gorgeous, and the outfits look gorgeous. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, no, never again will I be fooled. And then you couldn't return it. It didn't even have all the
Uh,
pieces. It was missing this beautiful blue sash. So I called them and text them and the whole 9 yards, and they're like, oh, we're sorry. No, it didn't show, but we can't provide you a new one. Rip it off of another freaking dress and airmail it to me. Like, it was an awful experience. That's my bad one.
Mhm.
oh man. See,
I
I love
mean, mhm.
my, or did they call them, is it the new term like threads? Is that a term like their internet friends that are
I
on
have
a
not heard
thread?
that term.
I might have made that up. Okay,
I'd say
It's a
cool.
you
good
made it up.
term.
I've never
I
heard of
love
it
it.
either.
Okay. I saw it on Instagram, so we know it's real. But I love human reviews, and I will go and I'll look at that and be like, okay, so even if it's on Amazon or a well-known brand or an unknown brand, I will search to figure out validity of that organization. Because there are some that are better than others. And I mean,
Hmm.
one of them was like, it was like a date night, game night brand for my husband. So we keep it like nerdy and do a board game. And there was one that was good, but then there were others that were like, this is not it. And I I think when you do it enough too, and this is the same with companies. So when I have applied in the past, being able to discern the language of a very heated,
Hmm.
emotional response, which you can usually tell because those are in absolutes. They took away
Hmm.
every single break possible.
Yeah.
I never had any friends. Everyone hated me. And you're like, that one probably isn't emotionally, there was some
What do you
emotion behind
think?
that. So I might not
Hmm.
make that one as valid, even though I'm sure there's
Hmm.
truth in that person's experience. But the ones that I value are love the organization, love the company, but the cons are no career
Hmm.
growth, young manager, where it's a little bit more balanced, where they
Hmm.
acknowledge the pros and acknowledge the cons. Those hold a
Yeah.
lot of weight for me. So I would say I am absolutely influenced by other people's comments,
Okay.
while similarly at the same time, um, trying to discern, is this truth? Is this person's like best friend? Maybe it's, the company of one and it's their
Hmm.
cousins that are commenting.
Hmm.
So just kind of having that attunement to see
Yeah,
through.
definitely. I'll say, in my experience last year when I was applying, I actually got to like the third round of interviews, and something was just seeming slightly off. It wasn't like that. It was just like too good to be true type vibes going on here.
Ooh, okay.
And I did look them up on Reddit and was like, okay, what's going on here? And I was like, oh, so they're really high intensity. You don't make the pay exactly the way they're telling you that you do. And
Mm,
it's all inflated to like their highest performing person, that this is how much they make and you have the potential to make, all those types of things.
yeah.
And so I decided not go to the final interview. I think I went and they offered me the job and I passed on it. But it was one of those situations where it was definitely something like, oh, you're not presenting yourself in an authentic, real way. And I was able to figure out what was going on. And yeah, it was a very helpful, but also slightly frightening when you really think about it, that I was able to do one Google search and figure out what was going on.
But
Yeah.
also, like, what recruiters, be real. You don't want to spend your time, your team members' time by trying to pretend something is what it's not, because they'll end
Hmm.
up self-selecting out 30, 60, 90 days anyhow, and that costs your organization more. So say it. Hey, Savannah, thank you so much for coming to this interview. This is a high intensity thing. You can
Hmm.
here, but if you work really hard, you can make, and let the candidate self-select out. Sorry,
Yes.
emotion about that.
I think one of the takeaways that so thank you, Vanna. This has been amazing and I've learned so much and I think I'll be Googling myself, which is one of the takeaways I want business owners to do is go out and research yourself. Find out
Mhm.
what the real temperature of your organization is, especially if you're a larger organization. So there may be many levels, so you're not sure of what's going on in the other areas of the organization. Take the time to go out and look. Don't
Mhm.
assume everything's 100% real, but go out and do your own investigation to find out if there's key areas in your organization that you might need to address or work on, or maybe look in the mirror, right? So I think that's important. I think the other important thing is don't freaking buy clothes online without doing reviews. No, I'm just kidding.
Read the
That as
reviews.
well.
Buy food. Now you have
Important.
to send me, Cara, before we end. You do have to send me whoever that person is that you're watching that goes around and eats everywhere. I have to see these
Oh
videos.
my, he's
Although the
lovely.
problem is I'll be having you like, I'll be like, hey, Cara, he ate at this restaurant in Austin. I really want the food, so airlift it to me.
I mean, there are some really fun food spots around here. So,
Yeah.
and on
Now I want to see if I
that,
can find one from here.
I bet there are some in your area,
Okay.
because food influencers are fantastic. Well, let me rephrase.
Mhm.
Some food influencers are fantastic. I don't like the ones that take advantage of small mom and pops. But before we digress into who to follow and who to not, Savannah, again, thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us.
Thanks for
And
having
with
me,
that,
guys.
that will conclude our HR talks with HM Pinnacle. So just remember, if you think you've had a bad day, in HR, every challenge is an opportunity to grow and learn. So thanks for spending time with HM Pinnacle. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel at HM Pinnacle Consulting. You can also find us on Spotify at HR Talks by HM Pinnacle Consulting. So we'll see you on the next one.